Librarian Alex with today's book, Bringing the Rain to Kapiti Plain. Yeah, straight away you can hear rhyming words. This book is like one huge rhyming poem, and the words were written by Verna Aardema. And what's this? Where are we? This luscious illustration is drawn by Beatriz Vidal. And what country do you think we are in? Well, this is an African savanna, and we're in the country of Kenya. And this boy here, Kippat, is a herdsman or a shepherd, and he looks after cattle and goats. And this is his soon-to-be wife and child. And this story is about the cycle of life and how we're all connected. Can you see any rain? No, it's kind of a clear blue sky. We need the rain though, don't we? To make the grasses and the plants grow. And then the animals can eat the plants, and then we benefit from the animals, and everyone is connected. Yes, the soil, the plants, the animals, and the sky. Let's find out. Oh, I can see a few raindrops there, can you? Dripping down the page. And some more here. Let's get to the first page of the story. Bringing the rain to the Kapiti Plain. And there is Kippat, and I love this, he's sat under the tree playing this handmade, homemade lute. He must be singing himself a song. This is the great Kapiti Plain, all fresh and green from the African rains. A sea of grass for the ground birds to nest in, and patches of shade for the wild creatures to rest in, with acacia trees for the giraffes to browse on, and grass for the herdsmen to pasture their cows on. Yes, so the giraffes here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, they all munch on the acacia trees, and oh, we've got a predator there in the grasses. Now what's that? I can tell you it's a leopard, that one, because you can tell it's a leopard and not a cheetah because the spots on a leopard have the yellow dots inside of the black dots. Can you see that? What other animals? We've got kind of gazelle and antelope, guinea fowl, other birds I don't know the names of, and beautiful wildflowers. What an exquisite place. Oh, but all the animals seem to be going in one direction now. We've got a few added zebras. But one year the rains were so very belated that all of the big wild creatures migrated. Then Kippat helped to end that terrible drought. And this story tells how it all came about. I wonder what Kippat's going to do. Wow, look at that big looming grey cloud filling the sky. Well, normally when there's a big grey cloud like that, hopefully it will rain, but sometimes it passes over. This is the cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground of Kapiti Plain. Oh, we've got some new animals. And look, what did I say? Do you remember? That one's just got plain dots, so that one must be a cheetah. He's eyeing up those antelopes and also the ostriches. This is the grass, all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead, the big black cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. Yes, grass shouldn't be brown like that, should it? We want it to be luscious and green. We've got the cattle now, haven't we? And can you see they've all got their tongues out? They're thirsty, and they are very bony and skinny, aren't they? They aren't happy cattle. These are the cows, all hungry and dry, who mooed for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead, the big black cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on the Kapiti Plain. Now, have you noticed that each part of the poem adds on the last? So we've already heard about the brown and dead grass and the black cloud, and now we've had the bit about the cows. So every bit of the poem adds on the last, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. See if you can join in. Ah, there he is. This is Kippat, who watched over his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Kippat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they mooed for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead, the big black cloud all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. Now that is a very, it looks quite difficult to stand on one leg like that, but it's actually very relaxing if you have to stand up for a very long time. That's what a lot of the Kenyan herdsmen do. They stand on one leg like that and leaning on their staff. Come on, Rain. Ooh. Look, what bird is that that swooped down? A magnificent bird. And can you see one feather has fallen? This is the eagle who dropped a feather that helped to change the weather. It fell near Kippat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like a big stork bird. Kippat, whose cows were hungry and dry, they mooed for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead, the big black cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. I love this picture. It's one of my favourites in the book. And look, they're still mooing and got their tongue stuck out and wanting something to drink. Ah, now can you see that? There's an arrow with an arrow head and that feather tied at the end. This is the arrow Kippat put together with a slender stick and an eagle feather. From the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helped to change the weather. It fell near Kippat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like a big stork bird. Kippat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they mooed for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead, the big black cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. I wonder what he's going to do with that arrow. Ah, look what he's made there. Beautifully painted piece of wood and a string there. This is the bow, so long and strong, and strung with a string, a leather thong. A bow for the arrow Kippat put together with a slender stick and an eagle feather, from the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helped to change the weather. It fell near Kippat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Kippat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they mooed for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead, the big black cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. Ooh, look, we've got a thunderstorm and the raindrops are coming and we've got lightning. And he's what do you call it, strung his bow and arrow and pulled it back. This was the shot. This was the shot that pierced the cloud, that loosened the rain with thunder loud. A shot from the bow so long and strong, and strung with a string, a leather thong. A bow for the arrow Kippat put together with a slender stick and an eagle feather. An eagle who happened to, from the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helped to change the weather. It's a tongue twister, this, isn't it? It's difficult to say. It fell near Kippat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like a big stalk bird. Kippat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they mooed for the rain to fall from the sky to green up the grass, all brown and dead, that needed the rain, from the cloud overhead, the big black cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. And finally it's falling. Can you imagine how wonderful it would be to feel those drops of cool rain on your skin and on the ground after such a long, arid, dry time, and look at them all with their heads up, drinking straight from the raindrops. Oh, look, it's all luscious and green again. And there's Kippat and his hut, and the cows, they're finally asleep and they look lovely and much fatter. And oh, look, there's a calf. So the grass grew green and the cattle fat, and Kippat got a wife, and a little Kippat had a baby. Ah, who tends the cows now and shoots down the rain when the black clouds shadow Kapiti Plain? And you see, he's younger, but he's still standing on one leg like his dad. And he's ready to make a bow and arrow to shoot down the rain from the big black cloud whenever it's needed in the future. But right now, it's in full glory, a pasture in bloom. Isn't that lovely? I wonder if that's how you can make rain. Shoot an arrow into a big black rain cloud. Well, Kippat saved all his cattle and herd, and the great savannah didn't dry out, it rebloomed again. And that's the end. It's a traditional Kenyan tale about the cycle of life. Bye.